Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ondi. I will be facilitating this discussion, capturing experiences and perspectives on integration. Um, Thank you so much for that speech, Ambassador. On that idea of participation, I would like all of you to think in your minds. If you can close your eyes, even better, but you don't have to. Think for a second, what is integration to you? How does integration make you feel? Have a think in your head. We'll have a few seconds, and then after you've had a think, we're gonna, all of us at the same time, say the first thing that has come to our minds. Are you ready to think? Have a think. What does integration make you feel? What is integration to you?
Am I part of that as well?
Oh, yes, sorry. Let's introduce Cucu first.
I need to participate. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Well, actually, one of the things we should think about during this data pool, this survey, is the fact that the perspective that comes out of what integration means to you. Now, are we fully integrated? There might be various answers to that, and all are legitimate. How do we quantify or qualify integration? Is it our profession, our work, our network, relationships? So all of these things are what you should be focusing on from what Ondi just said. So as you come to that, I just want to give a backdrop as to why we are having this participatory narrative sharing of experiences. Now, I think Africa has been around since 2014, but we have been part of the National Council of Ethnic Relations. We've been on the board since 2020. And so as a government policy to build good relationships in society, we've had the opportunity to make an impact in decision making. I mean, often we've cried about fouls, about mistreatment, about sidelining, but we've never had the opportunity when the government says, well, we hear your cries, your pains, and we think that you are the catalyst for that change in terms of what you can bring to us. And so why it's important that we gather and think about what pains us most, because when we feel the pain, we're able to look for solution, co-creatively, collectively, and co-designing. So that's the reason why we are here. I'll let you go on.
Okay, so close your eyes. Imagine that you're in a space where you're free to think and feel anything, and think in your mind, what is integration to you? How does it make you feel? I'll give you a few seconds. After those few seconds, we're all going to say what we feel out loud. What does integration make you feel? If you're ready, I'm going to count down from 5. When I reach 0, just say it out loud. Feel free. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Opportunity.
Community. Okay, now find a friend, somebody who's sitting next to you. If you don't have a friend, move a bit closer to someone. The people behind you, you can be in groups. Yeah. Discuss the word that you've said. What word did you say out loud? Tell
and
your friend.
Maybe why.
And why?
It resonates to you.
Why? If you see somebody doesn't have a friend, invite them. Invite them into your group.
To be a friend, you have to make a friend.
For those who have just joined us, we are discussing what does integration make you feel and why. And we're sharing our thoughts with our friends.
Can you see, Brian? No, can you see? And people in the back room as well, the volunteers, you can also discuss these issues because it also relates to you. So as you work and help make this a success, please also ponder on the question of integration and what it is to you.
Kids also have an idea. Kids also know a lot Ask your kids if they're around. What is integration? How does it make you feel? A few more seconds. If we can wind down the conversation, bring it back. Thank you all for your participation. This is the spirit that we're going to continue the opening ceremony in terms of bringing it back to what Africans know is the best way to have a solution or to solve something is to share the problem and to talk with each other and to find a friend. So if we can come back, it's so amazing you guys are still talking, but if we can come back to the group.
Yes, we need to get your attention now because we're into the nitty-gritty of the whole sharing and experiences and perspective. Now, we are to shift perspective. This is the theme. Shifting perspective, workplace relationship. Now, every one of us in this room have worked in some time or are still working. Some of us are looking for jobs, some are studying. Now, integration is a spectrum. It's a trajectory that takes place when you arrive in a new country. And then you pick up either by learning a language, or understanding the culture, or the tradition, or the way things work. And it might be very puzzling because you might lose some of your senses in the sense that you're new. And you might be like a child, starting from zero. So we're gonna do this. The data pool that we intend to collect today from this event is to help us project what we as immigrants, be it Africans of different backgrounds from the Middle East or whatever, but the idea is that as immigrants in Finnish society, how well do you feel integrated? And there are certain questions that deal with belonging, fitting in, security, participation.
If I can interrupt, Cucu, what is integration? If we can start there. What is integration? If we could have a definition before you answer, and I know you have many answers.
I'm not going to answer. They will answer.
I know you guys have answers as well. We said how it makes us feel, but what is integration? What does it mean to be integrated in a society or to not be integrated in a society? If we can have a think before we try and give you your answers, because this is also supposed to be collaborative. So if anyone feels like they have an opinion or have a thought, we would love to hear from you as well. Okay, we have a hand already. Please come, sir.
Microphone. I can give you my microphone, please.
Well, I would think it's being part of the society or a conscious member of the society who is fully participating and knows his or her duties and responsibility in a given society. So it's all about consciousness and being responsible as a citizen in that given society.
Great. I heard duty, consciousness, community to be a part of. I think those are really great. Does anyone else have any perspective on what does it mean to be integrated in a society? Or what is integration? I really love that answer. I think you've got it. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God, I've been called ma'am.
Isn't it wonderful?
Well, I don't know. It depends on whom you ask. So I think there was a really interesting word that Cucu used at the beginning, which was opportunity. And I'd like to use that to build on what my friend here said at the back when he talked about participating. So it's a two-sided kind of equation in my mind. In order to participate, you need to have the opportunity. And I think that, to me, that sums up integration, that opportunities are available to everyone so that they can participate fully, whether it be in the workforce, in educating themselves, or even in participatory democracy or in the election process. I think that's what it's all about.
Interesting, I like that. And somebody was in the background there.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, just to follow up to what our sister said, I think the sense of belonging, I agree with every other thing they've said, but I think that for you to feel that you have fully integrated, you should really have that sense of belonging, that you feel that you are part of the society. Not just your own small community, but the larger society. And it also requires that you are an active participant, right, in everything that happens around you and beyond that. Thank you.
I really like that, the active participation and the active belonging. I think that's something that is to do a lot with feeling, and each person can say for themselves whether they feel like they've belonged or not, or that they feel like they are allowed to belong or given the opportunity. Madam, ma'am, Mrs., there are no right answers. You're beautiful.
Yeah, just before you go in, my friend, there's one thing that I kind of picked out. When I say opportunity, I was thinking about an enabled environment that allows you to enjoy equity for participation, where you be fairly treated so that the relationship in society can be built. Now, you understand very often ethnic groups or ethnic minorities tend to have rift between themselves. And it is not out of the volume or the vacuum. They are very conception. Everything is about perspective. If I feel Ondi is getting a better chance on this stage, it might somehow demotivate me, create some emotion in me, and I might think, why is Ondi the spotlight? It has nothing to do with Ondi. Ondi just seemed to be charismatic and able to capture the attention of the audience. But my emotions will be driven at her for no reason that she has to do with. It comes from my security, for example. My worth, how much do I feel I am? So instead of focusing on me, the problem focus or the solution orientation, I'm looking at the problem. This is really not a problem. The problem or the solution is here. So that's why I think we should be focusing on integration. So before we go on, we're going to break up. This is going to go into bigger, but we're going to break up later on.
Hold on, we have just one more.
Okay, thank.
Two more, my bad.
Okay, to me, integration is adapting to a new context, adopting the positive, and also making a contribution to the new place.
Adopting, adapting, contributing. AAC or AAC. I like it. It's catchy. The second
Like
person.
acronym,
AAC. Sorry.
Yeah. So two words come to mind when I'm thinking about integration, and I'm thinking holistic, so that we are not looking at just some single facets like opportunities and economic aspects of it, but we are looking at the well-being, the social aspects, and everything else, and also the mental health and well-being. So how do you feel as a person, your dignity as a person? Is it achieved that you feel now you're home and you don't want to move anymore because you feel settled? So our journey towards integration, it's continuous. It's almost lifelong in a sense. But when we get to that point where we feel settled and having a sense of having a holistic balance in our being in the society, then I think that should define or should be our starting point when defining integration. Thank you.
I like that.
Do I understand you right? Do you mean that the level of integration is subjective with the person who feels integrated? And if I understand you well, what you're saying is that you touched on something when you arrive or belong. Do we, or can we say we are fully integrated if it's a continuum? Can we then think that it is not static, that it increasingly improves or increasingly gets bad, depending on the circumstances? Do I understand you right? Great. And that's very important because the issue of security comes in mind. When the security plays a part in your mental well-being, your mental health, or your satisfaction, sort of a level of society, whether it's work, school, social networks, yeah, good point.
Yeah, and that brings to mind the the difference, one second, the different points. There's the social, the political, the economic, the cultural, all these different levels of integration. How do you cater to all of them? Where do you go for something that can help you cater to all these different versions of integration? Yes, sir.
I think for me, integration is open eyes and open heart without creating any disturbing borders, like cultural or religious borders.
Very good. Thank you.
One more, and then we're going to break up into groups so we can have these conversations, but in smaller.
This is the feeder. This is basically your ignite.
Yeah.
Your ignition for the conversation.
Just a taste, a taste. Yes, sir, madam.
So not necessarily adding, but we've talked about opportunity, we've talked about belonging, but I think of it from the point of rights. So Hannah Arendt, when she was talking about the experiences of Jews after having experienced the worst of exclusion, then she talked of these people having not had the right to have rights. And when I think of integration, I think of you get to the point where you have the right to have rights. And then that captures that differences in then how much you can utilize the rights. Then once now you have the right to have them, then how you use them will then bring the differences in who is more successful, not who is more integrated. But integration is just that simple. We're all human, and we all should have the same rights. So give me the right to have the right.
Good
I like
point.
that.
I want to touch on that. I think when we look at integration on the spectrum, I think immigrants generally integrate differently. From my head top, I would think, if I think about Chinese immigrants in any society, the way they integrate at a very fast pace, compared to, say, the African immigrants as they integrate in different societies, with the exception of America, maybe, you would think that every group, every social group, every ethnic group integrate differently because of certain cultural elements that they bring with them. It could be hard work, it could be dedication, it could be groupism or tribalism. You become the tribe of your own. So it sometimes helps you, but it can also be detrimental. Because when you're in a tribe, what you do, you're in an enclave. So you live in a state within a state, sort of a situation. So you are detached from your ecosystem. You are into your own sort of a silo. And you might not very much integrate on that part per trajectory. But when you open up, what the gentleman just said, open minds, open hearts, I think the compassion as a human person then becomes to connect, because we are all connected for the fact that we are humanos.
And that's the beautiful thing of an organization like Think Africa, because it does bring all these different groups together. And we are here from all these different perspectives, shifting perspectives, capturing experiences. I brought it back. Did you see that? I'm sorry. So now we're going to go into smaller groups. Cucu will let us know where the groups are, but the idea is to continue this conversation. And please bring in your personal experiences, things that you have gone through, or things that you know people have gone through, or ideas that you have, or initiatives that you've heard of, or organizations that are working for this kind of building and growing and shifting for the better of all of us. And thank you for your participation. You've been great.
You're great, and I think you're going to get greater as we go into the smaller groups. One basic rule, ground rules, is the fact that as we are shifting perspective and capturing experiences, there is no wrong answer. My perception or my experience is undeniably true to my existence and my reality. So the rule is that in the groups of 12 to 15, every voice is going to be heard, respected, encouraged to be expressed constructively, as you feel. You are free to also not say or elaborate when you are asked. We're going to have facilitators in the groups and redactors. Now, the redactors will be taking the notes of what you say. Our intention is to capture the content and not who says it. This is anonymous. This survey or pool is non-identifiable. So you will not say names. You can wake up and say, I am thinking of integration as this. I want people to remember to say, my name is John, and I come from Jamaica, and I like reggae, and then you go out. No, please be anonymous. We don't want to know who you are. If I'm saying, oh, security-wise, I feel insecure. And I think because ABC has happened to me and DBC, and someone might say, oh, okay, I feel secure. Now, those two dichotomy are not in competition. They are expressing of every individual's experience. So that's one of the rules. Respect for the opinion and anonymity. And freely express yourself. It's all about perspective. No perspective is wrong. And no one is here to argue with anybody's perspective, because that is why we need equity, the diversity, and the understanding of an open heart, open with a mind, eyes. I like that. I got to I write it down if I'm allowed to copyright that. That's great. It is indeed.
It's true. It's very true. Are there any questions, thoughts, comments?
I have a thought. I'm sorry. Just to mention, it's a two-way street. Integration is ongoing and incoming traffic. That is important, and that's where the heart and the mind comes in. 'Cause I have a heart with two chambers, so do you. And so when we think with our hearts, we live in the left chamber and the right chamber. So integration as a two-way street is the focus.
All right. Hands for any questions? Do we have any questions? Yes.
Integration, you know, I was just sitting with this question. As a diplomat, there are certain rules for us. Our intention is not necessarily to integrate, slightly different from somebody that is coming to stay. But there are those rules that we also have to get by. Let's say the first thing that you have to do is to get your social security number. Then to get to your bank and get identified. Without those, you'll not be able to be part of the system. Now, whether that part is integration or whether it's a necessity and it's not necessarily, you know, in terms of the definition that we are trying to seek to achieve for the greater mass of immigrants. That integration is different from our integration, but it's an essential part. And even for us, without those particular things, we cannot be part of the system, or we cannot participate in the system or benefit from the system. Without your identification, online identification, you cannot access health service. You cannot access your transport services. And you can go on. And sometimes I just think that for those that are not able to prove that they are gainfully employed or that they are having means to be part of the system, whether that even is a long-term thing that excludes them ultimately. So maybe just a conversation around that also.
That's important. Sorry? So now we're gonna cut into groups, and for that I'm gonna do the old teacher thing. I'm not a teacher, but at least I remember my good teachers. So we're gonna have 3 groups. Thank you very, very, very much. And they say every good thing will have a break. So I smell some food, but before the food is smelled or tasted, I need to say a few things.
If we can bring it back so that we're all together once
As we
again.
were before, yeah.
No, just looking this way.
We're
so we
coming
are
back
facing here. If we can
as
come
you
back
were.
to the main group and look this way.
Thank you, facilitators, and thank you, participants. We haven't ended yet, we're just beginning, so.
Yeah. Oh, let's sing. Oh, Wimboe, oh, Wimboe, oh, Wimboe, oh, Wimboe, Wimboe, Wimboe,
Wimboe,
jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion
Wimbleware,
tonight.
Wimbleware, 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 Wimbleware.
Guys,
In the
can we face here? If you can see me, wave your
Okay.
hand. If you can see me and hear me, wave your hand. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Please have a
Wave.
seat. Please have a seat
Wave
for
your
a
hand and
while.
sit. Are they gonna come back?
Sit down before we start to, we'll debrief, and every group's facilitator would kind of a wrap up, and you're gonna just say it there. We're gonna ask you to sit down in your seat. I know it's been tedious day and you're hungry just like I am. But hey, how does it feel?
Okay, guys, as a wrap up, let me stand so you can see me. We thought as a wrap up, we would end the way that we started, which is for you to think about what integration means to you. What does integration feel like? So if you could have a moment, close your eyes, have a think. After a few seconds, you'll say it back to me.
This is bad time. When you smell food, your concentration is lost, right? I'm having the same problem too, but we need to just wrap it up.
Let's just...
So, as we said earlier, you begin with saying what was integration, the word that came to your mind, and you shouted it out. Now, as you've discussed in the groups, the perspective has shifted a little bit, or maybe a wider bit. So, back to the same point is, what have you learned in the group in terms of what integration is to you? For all the stories and narratives, experiences that you shared, what is the one thing that stands out or stood up that you remember? And how do you want to share that with the person next to you as to how it is?
So we'll start with what is integration and how does it make you feel? Think of all the things you've spoken about in your groups and all the things that you've done. We're going to wait a few seconds, have a think, close your eyes, be one with yourself. What is integration to you? How does it make you feel? And then after that, we're going to share it with a friend or somebody next to you. Okay, are we ready? Have a few seconds, have a think. What is integration? How does it make you feel?
Makes me hungry.
Are you ready? Okay, we're going to say it out loud. I'm going to count down from 5. Are you ready? Everyone just say it out loud, wherever you are. What is integration and how does it make you feel? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hungry.
Community. Okay, now share with your friend. Find a friend. If you can't see your friend, find somebody who's lonely. One thing that you've learned from the group that you are in. One thing that you've learned from the group.
Yeah. What did you learn? Good. And when you shared that, then we will call back the MCs on stage to tell us what's next. I know that I'm hungry, but I'm not sure what I can eat. But I like to know from the MC. So yeah, share with your friends and just put a big thank you to all of you. And after the lunch, those guys will tell you. I'm not going to break the news. But it was a pleasure to walk around and hear the groups talk and listen to the experiences. I enjoyed it, and I hope you did.
Thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you to the facilitators and redactors. It was very cool. I look forward to the rest of the program, as I'm sure you guys do. Right now it's lunch after the MCs come and tell us more. Nia Akin.
Mia Akin, please come for your microphone. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, guys.